just started single digging this very compacted vegetable bed where my beans were last year, and we'd had a bonfire, we'd been walking all over it. And I'm looking here at a trench that I've dug. In actual fact, I started right at the top, and I've just begun to work my way down to try and alleviate the compaction that you can see in the soil here. And I'm digging trenches about the depth of a spade, the width of a spade, and probably about 1 metre wide, because that's a nice manageable size to begin with. And when I started in the top corner here, I took the soil out and I've just left it to one side because I'm going to fill my final trench up when I come back up the next row. This is called single digging because I've gone down 1 spade's depth. If I was to do double digging right now, if I've got particularly compacted soil or I want to add some organic matter, I would then break up the soil with a fork to about another spade's depth in the bottom of this trench, and then add a really good layer of organic matter, well rotted manure or garden compost, before filling this in with the next row of soil. So I work backwards here, and I'm going to start digging another trench right next to that one and throwing the soil in on top of that trench. You can see that it opens up the surface of the soil. This is going to let oxygen down into the soil to benefit the microorganisms at this time of the year, all the beneficials that are working away there, like nitrogen fixing bacteria. I'm just going to continue working on this trench. I've got a little bit further since I've stopped and made that first video, and whilst I'm digging, I'm going to continue looking at the benefits of this, because it is hard work. And you can see I'm really just turning over each new trench that I'm making into the previous one, working my way backwards. I'm leaving the soil really chunky, and that's very important. Don't be tempted to rake it over and break it down, because what happens then is the heavy rain in the winter will really cap over the surface by washing all the fine particles into the surface. Leaving it chunky and open like this, the frost will start to break it down, and you'll actually have a really nice friable soil by the spring, which should rake down without any trouble. You also take the opportunity to remove any perennial weeds, but any annual weeds can just be dug back into the soil as long as they've not seeded. And a lot of people ask me about the no-dig systems and permaculture and also raised beds. My personal preference is just an open ground system. If you've got decent soil, like I'm lucky to have, there's absolutely no reason to create a raised bed and fill it full of organic matter and other stuff, because plants really need soil minerals to get the full range of nutrients, and really this is how nature intended plants to grow. So my preference is not to use raised beds or piles of twiggy stuff and creating permaculture beds. And I like to dig because it benefits the soil. You can really get down and relieve compaction. It's a great way of getting oxygen in the soil, which is necessary for plant roots, as well as beneficial organisms like worms and bacteria and fungi that work away for us below the soil surface. And I know it's hard work, and that could be another reason to choose a raised bed system or a no-dig system. But at the moment, I'm perfectly capable of doing it, and I actually enjoy digging. So for me, this is my choice. But I appreciate that if you haven't got good soil, or you've got mobility problems or a disability, then maybe a less sort of hard work system is a choice for you. But I also find that these open beds give me more flexibility and more growing space than if I make a raised bed. Now I've just finished the final trench on that one strip of the bed, and I've left it open because when I start the next strip here, I'm going to take this soil and fill that last trench in, opening up the first sort of strip here, and I'll be working my way up the bed. But I'm actually going to do that another day because I am going to pace myself The soil's fairly wet at the moment, and it's quite heavy down in this corner of the garden. But I shall work my way up and down, and then back up and back down this bed until it's all completed. And you can really see the difference in the structure of the soil here. I shall probably add some garden compost in the spring, but at the moment I just want to let the winter elements break this soil down for me.